Despite all of our videos on deadlifts and hip hinges and bridges, there's still more to talk about. Hi and welcome to E3 Strength. My name is Earl and today we're going to be going over the Romanian Deadlift. You may have heard this called a stiff leg or straight leg deadlift, and it essentially is just a hip drive with a glute flex. My personal opinion of the exercise, it really helps you to separate the feeling between your hamstrings and your glutes so that you can get a lot more activation of each of those individually. Now, this can be done with body weight, it can be done with a TRX, it can be done with dumbbells, it can be done with kettlebells, it can be done with barbells. We're going to try to cover a little bit of everything so you get the gist of how to do each one of those that I just mentioned without having to see each one individually. So let's first start with the bodyweight version. With the bodyweight version, all you're going to be doing is driving your hips back, keeping your legs completely straight. As we get started with the bodyweight version, a couple things to keep in mind. One, you want to keep a straight back by keeping your chest up and your shoulders back. That allows the spine not to move, less activation of your lower back. The second thing, it's a stiff leg deadlift. That doesn't mean to lock your knees out. Anytime you lock out any joint, there's a potential for injury. So the whole idea is your hips will move, your knees just stay fixed, but they can stay loose just like I'm standing now. So in the bodyweight version, you drive your hips back, let your arms trace your legs. Once you get that point where your hamstring stretch reflex kicks in, you feel like you can't go any farther, flex your glutes, squeeze and hold. So if you're doing this for body weight at home, make sure to really emphasize the negative and also to emphasize the squeeze at the end because you don't have the resistance to activate as many muscles. So from here, you can go to a unweighted single leg deadlift, which is a little more dicey. So one leg is gonna go back as your body goes forward, and when that happens, you see a lot of people doing something like this. I'm falling over, it's really hard to do. One of the reasons that happens is your hamstrings and glutes are tight, and so you compensate by twisting and opening up. So one thing you can do to help that is to internally rotate the toe and lead with your heel. If your heel moves up, eventually your glutes have no more range of motion, it's gonna push your torso forward. As if I keep my toe internally rotated, all of a sudden my stretch reflex kicks in way sooner than before, and I bring myself back up. The nice thing about the single leg version, you can't fire a glute individually, or at least most people can't. So the glutes take over on their own. You don't have to think about that glute flex. You can easily dial this up with weight, kettlebells, or dumbbells. One thing you want to keep in mind with either is to trace your legs. Some people like to keep the dumbbells outside their body when they do the single or the double leg version, and you're just adding torque to your body. Keep it close and trace that straight line as you go down. Always firing your glutes to lift back up. The last piece of advice we can give you when you're doing the resisted version with a dumbbell or a kettlebell and you're going single leg is to make sure that you have the weight in the opposite hand of the leg that's working. Also, common misconception, the leg that's working is the planted leg, not the moving leg. Sounds simple, but when you're under stress and you're sweating and you're out of breath, you're not really thinking of that. So just keep that in mind. So lead with the heel, internally rotate the toe, and all of a sudden that stretch reflex kicks in, and I bring myself back up. If the heel is leading you and pushing the torso down, be sure that the head driving backwards, not necessarily up, is gonna bring everything back down. If you move in a straight line, just like I'm standing, this straight line should be maintained the entire range of motion with that single leg. It's a little tough, it takes practice, and we highly recommend starting body weight. That was a lot of info in a little amount of time. So I hope that it was helpful and you understood it. If you did, give us a like, a comment, or a share. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at info@e3strength.com. Thanks.